Welcome to another episode of Jacksonville Metal Militia. I am your host, Steven Van Terra, and with me today, I got a very, very special guest with me today. It is John Jarvis with not only Nest, but Scour. How are we doing, buddy?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. It's such a blast to have you on, man. Love your work. I've been digging you guys for a hot minute, man. I try to spread the word at my job and everything, so I'm trying to get everybody involved with Nest, especially, and I'm surprised people don't know Scour, which blows my mind, man. But I'm like, how do you not know who these guys are? So definitely putting the word out about you guys.
Appreciate
Right
that.
on.
Yeah, man. It's hard to get people to check it out, and there's times where we'll be listening to it just to rehearse, and there's someone around saying, "What is that?" It's like we tell them who it is, and they're like, "Oh." And we kind of get some bright eyes sometimes, but yeah, it's hard to get the word out there, man.
Yeah. So for those who are unfamiliar with either band, so we'll start with Nest first. Um, can you share some of the history that is Nest?
Yeah, I started the end of 2019. Old friend of mine, Tim Harr, back in St. Louis. We grew up together and jammed back in grade school. So when I started Nest, it was perfect to start with him. And then, of course, all the pandemic happened and kind of slows everything down, of course.
Yeah.
And then, but I got a lot of writing done during that. So that's kind of the first like 20, 30 songs for the band I wrote was all during that. And then I moved down to New Orleans during the Pantera reunion time,
Sure.
and found the new guys, Joe and T,
Mhm.
who's been playing with me for probably 2 years now. It seems like it's been a while, but yeah, I've been going for about 6 years now. It seems
Hell yeah, man.
building it up.
Hell yeah. And now that second part, when did some insight about Scour?
Yeah, that kind of started. That's been 10 years now.
Hmm.
I think it was 10 years ago we put out the Gray EP
Yeah.
to be exact. So uh, that just started out of just friends wanting to travel together and have a good time. And Derek and myself were traveling with Cattle D at the time. I was
Yeah.
tour managing, and he was playing bass. And we started tracking the demo and went on tour with Cannibal Corpse and would find little studios to record in and made the first EP and kind of planned out what we would do over the next 10 years
Yeah.
and here we are.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Um, so I gotta ask, how did you get hooked up with Phil, and how did that come to fruition to get the whole Scour thing going? Did you get that? How you came in and decided to get the vocals for that band?
Well, he signed my band Fulgora
Yeah.
to Housecore Records, and that's Adam, myself, and Brandon Lemieux.
Hmm.
And we did some shows with Superjoint back then. That's back when Superjoint first reunited, and just got to know the guy. And after a while, when we were making the band, we kind of thought who would be the best guy to do this, and he was the top of the list, so we
Yeah.
hit him up first, and we're very pleased that he immediately was into it and knocked it out really quickly. And we were very glad
Yeah.
that he enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Because we
Yeah.
knew he would like that type of music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So now let me get this straight. You have toured with Pantera on the reunion they're doing now, right? I think back 2024. Am I correct about that?
Yes, yeah. Nest opened up
Yeah.
6 shows over 2 weeks. Lamb of God also
Wow.
on the show, and yeah, what a great
So
time, man.
how was that? What was the experience like with you doing that with Lamb of God and Pantera? That sounds pretty brutal.
Well, the Lamb of God guys were super nice and accommodating. They were like went out of their way to help us,
Really?
to be honest, and so did the Pantera crew. Like, for example, the first night, Bobby from CO, now he's in COC. Uh, he was doing bass tech for Rex,
Hmm.
and I knew he had done some guitar tech for ZZ Top,
Okay.
and we were doing a ZZ Top cover every night. We were doing Cheap Sunglasses.
Oh,
So uh, I jokingly I was like, "Hey, you want to play this guitar solo tonight?"
yeah.
And he was like, "Well, maybe by Nashville, which is like a week into the tour." And then a couple hours later, he's like, "Well, I found a guitar. If I had an amplifier, we could probably do it tonight." And sure enough, 15 minutes later, he's like, "I'm using Lamb of God's amplifier." So Lamb of God would set up a Mesa Boogie for us every night, just out of being cool. They didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Those are expensive pieces of gear, and it's a
Yeah.
lot of work and hassle to do. But they would do it for us every night. And Zach Wild let him use his guitar.
Oh man, that's
So that's like
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
so not only Pantera loaning the gear out, so was Lamb of God. So they were super cool, super nice to us every night. It was the best 2 weeks ever.
Hell yeah, man. Just to give you a heads up, if I can kind of tell it's giving me a little issue here. If you kind of disconnect, it's always rejoin. I can tell it's kind of a little foggy on my end, but again, just click the link and it should resolve itself. So I'm just kind of give you a heads up on that. Um,
Right on.
Let me ask you this too. I was wondering, did you ever go to music school or were you just self taught?
I took some guitar lessons at Swing City Music. Uh, took some piano lessons very young that I don't really remember too much about, but it kind of gave me the basics of the middle C and all that.
Yeah,
But I got to a point where I was wanting to play heavy metal stuff and like songs out of the Guitar World magazine.
yeah,
And my guitar teacher was like a 75-year-old guy that was trying to show me Kansas riffs,
yeah,
which was cool.
yeah, yeah.
But I got to a point where I was like, all right, I need to learn some newer techniques.
Sure, sure.
And then I just kind of took off by myself.
Yeah, yeah. See, how I knew whenever I was 16 years old, my parents bought me an Ibanez, black Ibanez, man. I had never picked up a guitar a day in my life. And my buddy's like, hey, throw something down. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you want me to do, man. I ain't never played. So I think I spent the next like 3 or 4 months, man. How I figured I learned, man. You picked up that. Matter of fact, if I have it laying around here, and I know I do. Hold on. Let me bust it out here. The guitar tab. This might
Oh
actually,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, this isn't the original, but it was a guitar tab for a vulgar display of power, and I spent
Hmm.
at least 3 to 4 months. And I think I was getting up. I had to go to bed at a certain time for I spent like I till like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was reading tabs. And I know how to read music, so I was just doing tabs, and I got pretty decent at it. So that's how I kind of learned. So that's kind of interesting to hear everybody else's little take and how they learned their stuff. I'd never took a class in life, but I sure the hell stayed up late every night for it's how long my senior year and getting that done. So
Yeah, the Guitar World tabs and the
yeah,
that I had that book too. And Dime had a Riffer Madness in the back of the Guitar World where he would say, "This is exactly how you play Cowboys from Hell. Like you're hearing it from my mouth. Like you've seen different ways, but
yeah,
here's the real way."
yeah, yeah. That's
So it's
awesome.
kind of cool to get it straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so when you were younger, what were your inspirations? Like, what were some of the bands that you totally were into, like as a child? Let's just say when growing up and you're first coming up, what were like your first bands that you really were into?
Well, I was just talking about this last night with my first CDs I'd purchased that were my own CDs were Guns N' Roses Appetite,
Mm-hmm.
Def Leppard Hysteria,
Yeah,
Billy Idol, Vital Idol,
yeah,
and DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
yeah,
So I got all four of those CDs in like 1988 or whatever when I was like 9 years old.
yeah, yeah.
And I had a bunch of records growing up, Beatles and Beach Boys and classic stuff like that.
Nice.
But really, it's Guns N' Roses. Then, of course, about '89 was Metallica, and had Slayer and Pantera. Just keeps going from there.
Yeah, yeah. It's awesome you say GNR because I know we're about the same age, man. And I think well, growing up, I had a healthy dose of God. I was my thank God my dad loved rock, man. I was raised on a healthy dose of Ted Nugent, and the first cassette tape I got was Black Sabbath Volume 4, and totally dug that. And like you said, GNR Appetite for Destruction, man, that was mind blowing for me. And I think in the fourth grade, hearing that, and then after that, I think it kind of the first CD I ever owned was the Metallica Black album, and then I heard Vulgar, and I think I went out and bought it the very next day. So it kind of progressed from like Ted Nugent, Sabbath, Zeppelin, and then I had to find my own path, the GNR Appetite, and then obviously led up to the Panteras and Slayers. That's pretty cool,
Yeah, it
man.
was a good gateway back then. It was hair metal was a thing, of
Yeah,
course, on MTV, and I was into that too. I was into Rat and Winger and all that shit. But it was like Guns N' Roses was kind of a little more pissed off and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
badass.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I talked about that to everybody. It's like yeah, 89. I think what was it like 80? What was it 89? It was 80 something. Appetite was just so. I feel like it was just kind of ahead of its time, man. And you're right, they were a little bit more pissed off than everybody else, man. And I totally dug Appetite, and it's odd. I finally get to see these guys May the 7th at Rockville, so that's going to be interesting to finally see these guys for the first time too, of all things.
Yeah, first time I saw him was in DC about 10 years ago, and it was when they were like really on fire, and Axl was at top notch.
Really?
And it was like every song was awesome. I remember me and my cousin were looking at each other like, is this really happening? Like they're playing Estranged right now, and like it was
Wow.
awesome.
Oh man, that's
I was
awesome.
very impressed with GNR live, so
So Axel
you'll
still
enjoy
had
it.
it. Axel still had it back
Oh,
then, for sure.
he was on that day. Yeah, yeah.
Man, yeah. I know my buddy Dave. He told me GNR came down here, and I forgot who they say they were opening up for, but they got booed off stage apparently here in Jacksonville. And then Axel goes, "I'll never come back here again." And I'm here to tell you, I don't think they've ever come back. That's kind of crazy how
Yeah.
that works. But hey, I'm like, I don't see how that would have happened. But unfortunately, but here we
Everyone
are.
has bad nights,
Yeah, everybody
it
has a bad
happens.
night. Yeah, it just happens. So, and I think that's what he was saying. That's when they were on fire too. But here we are now. That was just a splash in the pan then, and they were killing it through the '80s.
Yeah, man.
Um, so let's kind of talk about your latest album with I guess with Nest, and talk about Endeavors. What can the bands expect for that? Who's never even heard Endeavors? What does that bring to the table for the people who's never heard that?
Well, it was really at the time it was kind of doing the best of what Nest was the last few albums. I was kind of like cherry picking my favorite parts of what we had already done and kind of made it into a, this is the best of what we can do type.
Sure.
Um, and I mean, I wrote that album 4 or 5 years ago, probably. So it's kind of
Wow.
it's so long ago. I wrote it back in St. Louis, so it had to be at least that long ago. But yeah, it since then we put out a covers record of 20 songs called Replicators
Okay.
and worked on that for a while. But the Endeavors record was the first housecore release.
Yes.
So it was the first one that got a little bit of, press behind it. Like I'd flip through the Decibel magazine and see it in there, and we had good reviews for it. So it was a great record for us. And uh, I've I always try to stay ahead of the game.
Sure.
So I've got a couple records in the just like waiting for the next
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Endeavors, it seems like so long ago. I guess it was only released a couple years
Yeah. I was
back.
only, yeah. I think 24. I tell you, I love it, man. I got it in my. I've just been collecting vinyl here recently again, and I picked up Endeavors. I got Scour Gold. Love that, by the way. That is one of my favorite albums right now. That's definitely on the playlist. I got it queued up always on my tablet at the job when I'm going around. I work at a hospital, so I have my earpiece in. Boom, I'm ripping it through patients' rooms. And I know I've got some weird looks, man, because I can, how you get your body in motion. I'm like, like, what's wrong with this guy? I'm over here just rocking out, and they don't know what the hell's going on. I'm having a great time.
Just damn.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I love Ness, and I've been trying to push you guys a lot again. I know I've said it, but I can't tell you enough how great that album is. I totally love it. Do you have now? With that said, do you have anything like coming out soon with Nest? Or are you?
Yeah, very, very soon, actually. Like, as we speak, I was finishing up some artwork for a single we're going to release like any minute. We're just waiting for the licensing to go through.
Hell yeah.
And I'd imagine by the time this comes out, it might already be out. But we did a Neurosis cover.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard the new Neurosis album yet,
No, I have not.
but it just came out. I highly suggest that.
Yeah.
It's the album of the year so far. It's really good. Uh, but we did a cover of Locust Star
Okay.
by Neurosis, and that could be out as early as tonight. So excited about that.
Yeah.
It's the first release with the new guys recording. We got recorded it at Nod Ferratu's layer
Oh, okay.
Phil's studio.
Yeah.
So it's the first time we got to get some drums in there and get some live drum sounds in his studio. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. How is that studio, by the way?
It's fucking killer because you got the upstairs control room, so your engineer can go up there and just talk to you through a microphone
Sure.
or come down to the window and wave to you if he needs to. But you kind of got some privacy down in the room. It's got a vocal booth down there, and it's got a nice, great big drum room
Hmm.
or a jam room for rehearsals. So that's, for example, Nest rehearses there, and Scour will have a couple rehearsals coming up here next month. Actually, at the end of the month.
Oh yeah.
No, end of next month. Yeah.
Now, do you have now? With that being said, too, do you have any plans on maybe touring with Nest? You gonna be have any dates set up?
Well, yeah, we got So what's happening is in June, Scour is going to fly over to Poland for Mystic Festival.
Oh
That's with
wow.
Megadeth and Anthrax and
Sure.
Blood Incantation, all those killer bands. And 2 weeks later is Hellfest, and Scour's playing at Hellfest with all these killer bands.
Yeah.
So in between, Nest is going to do a couple shows. We've already got Germany announced.
Hmm.
We announced Dusseldorf. So it'll be cool to like just get on a train and go through Europe and on days off and just kind of be a tourist and then rock a couple shows in between the Scour shows. So yeah, Nest is doing a couple shows in Europe at least, maybe some more. We're working on that.
Yeah.
And got a festival at the end of May down in New Orleans. That'll kind of be our little warm up for the European shows.
Sure.
But yeah, we just actually in November and December did a couple tours. So
Right.
he's played at the Whiskey a Go Go with John Bush, and
Oh, how was that?
mm,
John Bush. Wow.
yeah, he did the Anthrax Sound of White Noise or his Anthrax era. So it was a few Anthrax
Sure.
records
Sure.
that
Sure.
he would do songs from. So it was sold out. It was crazy. It was
Wow. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like I love first of all John Bush era and Anthrax. That can't. Matter of fact, that kind of brought me back into the fold with Anthrax. It's not like they were ever got stale with me, but when I first heard uh only from Sound of White Noise, I was like, oh my God, that blew me away. That was definitely a game, just like one of my all time favorite albums from them. And
Yeah, I mean that's a great catchy song. You can't really deny it.
no, for sure.
Black Lodge. There's a bunch of cool songs off that record. I ended up getting a vinyl autographed by him at the show,
Oh
so
shit, yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, my wife's not, she's not the biggest metal, but obviously she went with me to see Pantera, Meadow Phil and everything like that. And she one of her favorite songs is Black Lodge from Anthrax. She's like, "Oh, I love that song. Who does that?" I go, "Oh, here, have a seat, honey. Let's take a listen to the whole album." You know what I mean? Yeah, she
Yeah,
digs
yeah.
it.
He played that live. It was
Hmm,
probably the best part of the show,
really?
and it's cool because like that song at the time, I was like learning about like what the hell they're talking about. It was from Twin Peaks, the TV show, so it kind of turned me on to watching the Twin Peaks show. And Black Lodge is part of the
Yeah,
show, and later in life, I'm hanging out with Charlie Benante, and we're just
yeah.
chilling, watching fireworks after a show. And I had to say it. I was like, "Man, you turn me on to Twin Peaks? You had no idea." Like, wouldn't have watched Twin Peaks without the song Black Lodge. He's like, I wrote that song. I'm like, no shit. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't know he wrote all those songs,
Yeah.
but that's Charlie that wrote all those riffs.
Hell
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
Oh yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask a couple questions. My producer Jose back in Black Brunette want me to ask you. So one of his things was, and I'm going to quote him on this: as an overweight Latino, but he's not. He wants to know what's the diet like when you're out on the road touring, and this, and how do you kind of not kind of pack on the pounds whenever you're out and about touring?
Well, I start with a free breakfast from the hotel we stay at, and that's usually a Hilton or better. So we
Yeah.
usually get some hot food, some eggs and bacon, and some days you'll have biscuits and gravy, or they got the waffle maker.
Yeah.
So kind of take advantage of the free breakfast,
Yeah.
and then for lunch, it's usually we hopefully you get to stop at a Bucky's or a nice
Bucky's, yeah.
Wawa or a pie, some sort of halfway decent gas station because
Yeah.
you're kind of on the run or you're trying to get to the next show. Don't really got time to stop somewhere for lunch.
Yeah.
But if we do, we will stop somewhere decent wherever we're at. But dinners, sometimes the dinner's an Uber Eats delivered to the venue,
Sure.
or whatever's around the venue in walking distance, or whatever the promoter's nice enough to feed us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you can't be too
Yeah.
picky.
Be too
But
picky. Yeah.
right, but I really I eat like I'm a tourist. Like if I'm in Miami, I'm gonna have like a Cuban sandwich, or you know what
Oh
I mean.
yeah.
If I'm in Buffalo, you get the buffalo wings.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the when in Rome
Yeah.
there.
So I know what we were talking about the touring life. Like, is there any bands like you really especially had a great time touring with? Is there like any particular band that you really enjoy touring with?
Well, I haven't had a bad time with any of them. Cannibal Corpse back in the day were treated me well and taught me a lot. Misery Index guys taught me a lot coming up, and like I said, just recently with the Pantera and Lamb of God
Yeah.
guys, like they didn't have to be that cool, but they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So uh, over the years, it's fun tours with like Magruder Grind and just
Yeah.
cool underground bands, and it's hard to just pick just one because there's so many cool ones.
Yeah. Let's see here. We already talked about. He was going to ask about the travel outside the U.S. We just talked about that, so that's good. You answered that one. He wants to know how is the fan base versus when you're at home, like go like your hometown or your home state versus like away from somewhere else. Like, is there any difference? Do you more welcome like at your home place, or is it like more embracing or a little bit different?
Well, it's weird because I'm from St. Louis, but I've
Yeah,
lived Baltimore for 8 years, and have been living in Louisiana for the last 4 years now. So when I played New Orleans at the first few shows with Pig Destroyer or Nest, or it was a little bit different because it's kind of like a almost like a Las Vegas type. It's like, to me, New Orleans is like the coolest city in America. It's like you can go there and just have a good time. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
But now it's kind of like home. So now when we play a New Orleans show, my boys are like, "Oh, another local show," and it's like, "No, it's New Orleans."
yeah,
I'm still
yeah,
trying to, but they're from here, so it's
yeah,
like that's their local show.
yeah.
So it's I don't like to even call us a local band because I'm not from here. You know what I mean? I don't want
Sure,
to
sure.
claim to be from New Orleans. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But so it's weird to get, and you just never know what you're going to get. Like for example, on the last tour in November, we were driving about 8 hours to get to Seattle, and we were about $1,000 in debt. And we basically said, if these next few shows don't turn out pretty well, we're going to be in trouble, because we got to get money to get home.
sure.
And sure enough, the next three shows were awesome. Like we're in Montana with 200 people there for some, like, I don't know how, but here they are. And then we play in Idaho and it's another 200 people. And it's like, where's 200 people in St. Louis? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So when I go to St. Louis, it's like 30, it's the same 30, 40 people that were there 20 years ago, which is cool,
yeah,
but that's just St. Louis for me. So it's great when you're at somewhere where you just don't know what's going to happen,
yeah. Okay.
like Idaho,
Yeah,
and then it's just ripping, and it makes you kind of like, oh, that's why we do this. That's why we come play in
yeah,
the middle of Idaho.
yeah. So let me ask you: do you like prefer like a smaller stage, like a smaller kind of a set, opposed to like maybe like a bigger setting, like you were playing with maybe like a Pantera or whatever, but or like you're doing like your own standalone, like the smaller, intimate kind of a deal? Do you get more of like a better pop, better reaction from those guys?
It's always different, man. And it's like sometimes I'll play a smaller show and it's just chill all night. And then all of a sudden on the last song, everyone goes crazy and there's blood all over my pedal board. And
Yeah,
it's just like, holy shit, what just happened? But then if you do that, if you play in an arena, you got kind of a level of protection where
sure.
you're not going to get blood on your stuff. So there's pros and cons to both, really. Like the big stages, the first couple nights, I was scared to death, man. Like the first night, I didn't even look into the crowd. Like I was just so scared. I just kind of just tried to play perfectly and
Yeah,
hope that the crowd had somewhat enjoyed it.
yeah.
And then once you hear the first applause, it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna
Hell
be
yeah.
fine. You
Hell
know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But the second night, I was like, all right, I'm gonna look into the crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like so with some confidence, and
yeah,
I look into the crowd, I'm like, holy shit. Like I immediately got real scared because I'm like, there's 15,000 people glued right on you. And it's like, oh fuck. So I shouldn't have looked into the crowd. It's like when they tell you not to look down, like when you're really high in the air,
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah, I shouldn't have did it.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, there after a few nights of being really nervous, the big stage became really fun and we started just, having the best time we could with it. But there's pros and cons to that too. There's been times where they're like, "You got 15 seconds to do your sound check,"
yeah.
and they weren't exaggerating. They're like
Really?
counting down. They're like 13, 12, 11, and I'm
Wow.
like, "Tin, tin, tin, check, check, check. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, yeah,
Hope it sounds good out there."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah. So I got to ask you this, man, because I kind of had a feeling whenever I was younger about music and this and that. When did you know, like, this was something you really wanted to do? Was there ever a point in your time in your life where, like, man, this is it. This is what I'm doing. This is the plan moving forward. You know, when did you kind of have the idea this was it for you?
well, the time when I said I better take it seriously is when Phil contacted us and was interested in
Oh,
the band.
okay.
Like that was the moment. Like at that point, I'd already done some touring, and but I'd still was working a full time job and was
Sure.
happy with that. I was
Sure.
living, had 3 cars, doing all right.
Yeah.
But once he was like, "Hey, your band's great. I'm going to sign your band," I was just like, "Fuck all this job. Fuck all this. I'm just going to work on music. And if I get a job, it's going to be in music somehow." And I
Yeah.
did that for a while, and it
Wow.
it kind of worked out. But you just never know what would have happened. But that was kind of the moment for me is when he got interested.
Right.
That's when I started taking it very seriously. I mean, there was times when I was a kid where I was like, okay, yeah, I want to be a musician just from watching Ozzy Osbourne videos
Oh
when
yeah.
I'm 5 years old. But when Metallica came out with Justice for All with the one video,
Yeah.
like that was a big moment as a kid where
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
Absolutely.
this is different. This is something I enjoy that no one else at school was into. Like kids at school were listening to New Kids on the Block, and
Yep.
so the whole
Absolutely.
thing. So
Absolutely.
yeah, there was moments where I was like, okay, I could tell that there's something's a little different. But you got to make a choice very young if you're going to do this, I guess. Or you just got to keep at it.
Yeah.
It's the only thing to do, and it's going to be hard. I'm always broke. You're
Yeah.
not gonna get rich off playing metal music, but
Yeah.
we know that. I
Yeah.
knew that when I was 18. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I know. I always kind of feel like the guy who was I could have been a contender guy. Was we had the opportunity when I was younger, and I think we had taken a break. This band was looking for a new lead singer. They handed him a CD of like what I could do. They're like, we don't even need to try you out. You're in. And I'm like, sweet. And they needed a new drummer. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're like, all right, we got to take a break because the guy was getting married. And I understood that. Well, at that point, they took like a 3, 4 month layoff. And at that point, I was doing another career. I was having a family, and I got this phone call from a number I didn't even recognize, didn't even answer it. And it turned out it was the guy. It's like, hey, we're ready to record. Come on. And I thought it was some kind of a joke, and I never called the guy back. And turns out it was him, and they had wound up getting a new guy. I'm like, son of a bitch, man. But I wouldn't change it for the world, man. I got some great kids, a great wife, and a great career, man. And I played with some pretty cool cats, man. Especially when I had a younger band. We toured with Biohazard. We did a show with them down in Orlando and Tampa area, and of all the things we played with the Insane Clown Posse. That was
Yeah.
different. That was different, man. They were big when I was in high school too, man. Me being from Michigan, I met Jay. He was really super cool. Whenever he came to Jacksonville a few times, and I got hooked up with him. It was them and the Funk Junkies. I remember they came down here to Jacksonville, so it was pretty cool. But I had fun doing that, man. So it's always great to hear when they realized it was going to be their time. Like you telling me that's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. That's pretty awesome. To hear that. Um,
Yeah. ICP guys, man, they're great.
there, yeah,
I've been to many a Juggalo gathering
yeah,
and hung out with those guys,
yeah.
and what a great time! Some of the best times ever hanging out with the
Yeah,
Juggalos.
and I think a lot of people back then didn't even really understand like getting sprayed with soda. What's that about? I'm like, no, man, you gotta have to have the full experience, man. Be in the front row, and they're spraying you. I know it sounds kind of weird, but just kind of roll with it, and you'll understand. And sure enough, this kid did it, and he had the time of his life. I didn't even know this kid. He's like, "What's this all about?" I'm like, "I don't know, man, but come on, get up in here." And he loved every second of it. So they wound up getting it. They're a really good group of guys, man. Um,
More power to them. I
yeah,
love the
man.
Juggalos. I always stick up for them.
Yeah. So whenever I know I haven't touched on you this with the writing with Nest, and then we'll touch on that with Scour. But who does the writing for that? Like, who does the writing for the lyrics, and who writes the riffs? And
I do everything. I do the drums, bass. I've wrote every piece of music for Nest.
really,
So I start with the drums. Yeah, I'll program drums and different beats, and then I'll sit and write my favorite riff to it. Try to make the best riff to the beat, and then I piece it all together, and then I write the lyrics and
hell yeah,
send it to the band and say, "This is our set list, and here's the songs," and
hell yeah,
they're cool enough to just learn it, and they've and the new album that's going to be coming out maybe later this year, probably next year at this point. I really don't know. But we've worked in the studio and got a whole new album ready to go. And they did great with, they had like their own input, like the bass player came in and had his own bass lines prepared where I didn't have to coach him through what to do. It was great.
sure,
Uh, and the drummer, it was awesome that we had the help from a guy named Eddie Mapp, who's
yeah,
now he's with Zach Wild, and he was
okay,
Pantera's front of house. So
yeah.
he's doing the Zach Sabbath tour right now.
Oh wow,
But he came in and mic'd our drums for us to the point where we can press record and it's ready to go. And then he was like, "See you later." And
yeah,
I was the one that had to actually record the drums. So it was me with the guitar on going click. All right, ready? Give me a 4 count. We'd play the song
sure.
until we're both happy, and then it's like on to the next song.
Yeah,
So
nice,
uh there's times where he would say like, let's cut that riff out once, or he'd throw a couple things in during the drum recording to where it kind of changed the some of the songs. And then the bass player also came in with some cool bass lines that
yeah,
I would have never thought about. So
sure,
it's always great to have some collaboration, man.
yeah,
I've always wanted that in the band, and I've encouraged past members like, hey, if you want to write the next album, be my guest.
oh yeah,
But yeah,
oh
no one
yeah.
ever
So when it
asked
so
me.
when it comes to Scour, like who, kind of the same thing, like who's in charge of the writing of the lyrics, and then again with the riffs, with everything else.
That's all Derek on
Okay,
guitar, writing all the riffs, all the songs, and then Phil writes all the lyrics, all
sure,
the
right on.
patterns for the lyrics, and then we'll come in and do backing vocals on
Sure,
top of Phil's stuff. and that's pretty much the songwriting process. And we've been kept keeping it that way. And we're moving forward on same way. Just keep the demos coming. And
Yeah. Um, now with I noticed that now correct me if I'm wrong. I see Jason Momoa is on one of the songs of the new Scour.
that was on the gold EP.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, the black EP. Black
Okay.
EP. So we had three EPs and then the gold
Sure.
album.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the black EP, I believe it was the track Doom.
Doom. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
And yeah, and Momoa met the guys on the final Slayer tour when Phil and the Illegals opened up. And last night of the tour, Momoa was backstage hanging out with Derek, and they exchanged phone numbers. And we were talking about getting some guest vocalists on the record. And I brought it up on the phone with Derek saying, "Do you think Momoa would do it?" Because I'm reading that he's taking vocal lessons for his Game of Thrones gig, and
Okay.
he was from like some death metal guy. I forgot it was a Legion or
Okay.
somebody was giving him vocal lessons,
Gotcha.
and so he texted him while we're on the phone, and he's like, "Oh my god, he's texting back!" So you can see the three
Yeah.
dots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're sitting there like, "Oh my god, he's texting back!" And then so right then he's like, "I'll do it," and we're like, "Oh my god, we got Jason Momoa on our album."
Oh, yeah. That's
And he
awesome.
ended up he had to do it outside because it was during the weird COVID time where no one could be in the same room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he had to do it through a gate. Someone had to stick a microphone through his gate of his house, and he screamed into that and sent it back to us. And
Yeah.
that was that easy.
Oh wow. Hell yeah. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah. My buddy was telling me about that. Jose was like, I'm gonna ask about that. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. How did it come out? I want to check it out, but how did it come out? Did it sound pretty solid? Did you do all right?
Yeah, he sounded great, man. He has a cool scream,
Mm-hmm.
and it's right at the end of the song. He's like, "What epic excuse?" It sounds like Khal Drago from Game of
Yeah,
Thrones. It's
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
man.
Um, so I know we had talked about, bands that you've toured with, and is there any because I've experienced it, is there any like anybody that's you've toured with or ever met since you've been in the band that you just kind of been starstruck? Like, you just talk to them and you can't produce the words properly, and you want to, but you're so gosh damn starstruck, it kind of goes left pretty quick.
Yeah, it happened to me with Robert Plant. It was just me and Robert
Yeah.
Plant, the singer Led Zeppelin, and like, what was I gonna say? Like, do you remember when you were in Led Zeppelin? That's what I went like. That was awesome. You are awesome. So it was just me and him, and I just kind of gave him a hey, what's up, and I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm not gonna bother this guy.
Yeah.
But that was when I was starstruck with
Yeah.
Robert Plant.
Yeah. It's funny because um, I've met a lot of cool people along the way, man. And there's only one person I've ever just flubbed the entire thing. And since I was 12 years old, I've always wanted to meet them. And I knew exactly what I was going to say to them. And whenever I met them, and I shake all their hands. But there was one guy in particular in that band. I was just wanted to say what I wanted to say. And when I got the opportunity to do it, man, I don't know what the hell I was doing. I met Phil, and I remember I walked back there. Zach gave me a hug, and he's like a big old teddy bear, giving me the hug. And I remember I turned the corner, I see Rex, and the first words in my mouth, I go, "Holy shit," you know. And then there's Charlie, and I see Phil, and it was kind of like the Dave Chappelle episode. I seen his aura. I can see the man's aura. And
Right.
and he hugged me, and then the first words out of my mouth was like, "Oh man, the 12-year-old inside of me is freaking out right now," and he's like, "All right, you 12-year-old, come here," And I'm like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I actually said that out loud." I was just so embarrassed, and I tried giving this mean look, but I wound up having the biggest smile on my face. But that was all right. That was the one time I was like, God, I had so much I wanted to say, and I couldn't. I can only say that. That kind of was pretty pretty
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Yeah, they're so cool, man. He's so nice, and same like you said with Zach. Like I didn't know what to expect when I first met Zach.
Yeah,
I always heard the stories about the drunk crazy guy that will break the bar and
yeah,
go crazy. But when I met him, and I was lucky enough to drive him around a bunch and just sit there and talk music with him. And like, he's just a normal dude, goofy and just
Yeah,
fun. And
yeah,
what I had no idea, from the persona from the, 80s. Like,
yeah. He comes across as a really cool dude, man. Like, and even more so, like when he was like I said, so embracing and made you feel really welcome. It was like, okay, he calmed me down,
yeah, yeah.
you
There
know.
was, yeah, there's no like COVID protocols with him. He's gonna shake your hand and give you
Yeah,
a hug and like,
100%. Yeah,
he doesn't care. Yeah,
yeah.
he was just cool as can be, man.
So do you have any like do you have any funny stories, like any funny tour stories or any great tour stories you may have you want to share?
Well, I mean, there's a million of them. I could think of a bunch on that tour alone, but you know, just those dudes, just like I said, loaning the gear out's one thing, but it's like just having backstage chats with them and hanging backstage and the bass player from Lamb of God be like, "Hey, can I come and hang out with you guys tonight?"
Yeah,
And he would come in to our dressing room and just chill with us, and then
yeah,
he ended up joining us on stage for the final night of the tour. We like I said, we did the ZZ Top cover,
yeah,
and during the chorus, it's a oh yeah, dun, 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 oh yeah.
yeah,
So we got this idea, like we're gonna bring everyone out to do the oh yeahs tonight.
hell yeah.
So all day I'm walking backstage, like I see Randy Blythe. I'm like, "Hey Randy, you gonna do the oh yeahs tonight?" He's like, "What? What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh, the oh yeahs? You don't know about the oh yeahs?" Trying to
Yeah,
get everyone excited, but to join us on stage.
yeah, yeah.
And sure enough, the bass player from Lamb of God did. He came up and
Mm.
sang with us. Oh yeah,
Hell yeah,
and wearing crazy cheap
yeah.
sunglasses. And the crew from Pantera came out and sang with us.
Mm.
And some of the tour managers came out, and like it was just kind of a cool like celebration moment. Like I was thanking them for having us out, and they were just. I look over and they're all singing and having a good time. And
Yeah,
like Gerald, for example, he was the monitor guy, and I know he worked for like Maynard back in the day for Tool, and so I remember picking his brain a lot and hearing stories. And then I look over, he's singing with us on stage, so it's like it's something I'll never forget.
yeah, yeah. So I got a couple more for you, and I'll wrap it up with you. But one of the things I like to know too, like as a fellow guitarist myself, I've got the Dimebag special back here, and I got a couple more. I got a Zach Wild audio, little bullseye barbarian in the case back here.
Nice.
What's your setup? What's your favorite guitar that you love to use, and what are you running it through? What's your setup?
Well, I'm an ESP endorsed artist, which
Okay.
makes me very happy because that's what I would be playing anyway.
Yeah.
Gave me a nice E2 Horizon.
Mhm.
It's a seven string with a seven string Floyd Rose
Nice.
that I've been using for a while now, and they recently hooked me up with a six string LTD Horizon, the '87 series, which
Sure.
they remodeled. You know, from the first U.S. run of guitars, they basically just reprinted the same with the same specs, and that was, of course, from like the Dokken era,
Sure.
from all the speed shredders. So it's a really fast, cool guitar. So I'm really a big fan
Yeah.
of the LTD Horizon with the 7 series.
Yeah.
And next week, I'm supposed to be getting my Neural DSP Quad Cortex Mini
Okay.
in the mail, which I've been waiting very patiently for. I've been really afraid to go into the amp modeling and and the because I have a solid state Ampeg
Sure.
VH140C,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've been using that for 10 years and sounds great.
Yeah.
But for example, when I fly to Poland and play with Scour,
Mhm.
I can use this quad cortex in my pedal board.
Sure.
And then for the next weekend when Nest is playing, I could use the same pedal board because it also has guitar and bass, both on the same
Sure.
quad cortex.
Okay.
So, and it's actually got four inputs to where my bass player can also plug in to my pedal board and go straight to front of house where he doesn't even have to bring a pedal board if he doesn't want to. So that's going to be the next phase for me is the quad cortex mini.
Okay.
And going straight into this the power stage, the Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200 as like the
Yeah.
power amp, straight to the speaker. That'll power the speaker behind me. So that's pretty much going to be my fly-in rig.
Yeah.
And then when I'm at home, I can still use my Ampeg VH140C.
Yeah. Yeah. You like a good wah wah pedal? You dig them?
Yeah, I got a Morley. I got the Auto Wah, I think, or Auto Lock or something.
Yeah.
But Morley, it's the orange one.
Sure.
You click it on, it activates. You don't have to have the press the button.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about that.
Yeah. I've got a Wild Audio one, and then I got one for my daughter and myself. I've got a Crybaby from Hell, Cowboys from Hell, wah wah.
Oh,
Yeah, so I gave
well, that's
my daughter just started learning how to play the bass. So she's got a nice big Marshall amp, and I got her. She didn't have a distortion, so she was just here strumming back there. I said, "Hold on, honey, let me. I got a gift for you." And so I went and got her a real nice distortion pedal, and I gifted her a brand new Crybaby from Hell. I said, now I set it up for her. I said, "All right, now play the song for me." And she's like, "Okay, now tap the pedal." And she hit it. She's like, "Oh my God!" I go, there you go, babe. Welcome to my world, you know? So she was totally into that. And I just totally gave her a brand new Ibanez guitar. She's wanting to learn how to play. She's pretty multifaceted, trying to learn. She plays the piano, she's doing bass and the guitar. So she's trying to stay busy on that, trying to take after dad a little bit. But like I said,
nice.
I run a straight distortion and plugged in through, I got myself a nice little orange amp with a Crybaby and just plug and play, man.
Yeah.
Just like a little raw. So
That's the best wah pedal I've ever played and ever heard is
really,
the Crybaby from Hell. Oh yeah. I mean, I used to play in a cover band and we would do Alice in Chains covers and you need a lot of wah.
yeah,
And once I got my hands on the dime bag one,
hmm
it was like, all right, that's for some reason that was the perfect for the distortion I was using.
yeah,
It just sounded so good. And then it was my friends that let me borrow it, of course, and
yeah,
he wanted it back and he got it back and he wouldn't sell it to me. And for
yeah,
years they're hard to find, man.
yeah,
Like I don't know if they still make them,
yeah.
but
They do. They definitely do. Yeah, I just totally picked up another one. So yeah,
well, that must be something new. I think for years they stopped
they kind of
making them and
stuff.
it was
Yeah,
hard to find.
yeah,
And the used ones were like going for a couple $100,
hmm
but it's like
yeah,
you want the best one, you're gonna have to pay it.
yeah. I was fortunate. I picked up mine not too long back and brand new, still in the wrapper, never been used. So that was said, here you go, babe. This is for me to you. Ready to get started.
Very nice.
What a better way to get started from dad. Um,
Yeah.
so is there any we got a band out the name we're buddies with, and they're out in Savannah. Their name's Ars Goetia, really extreme metal band. Um, you got any advice for them or any band that's really up and coming that they're trying to break through, or maybe what you can maybe shed a little light on what they can do to kind of keep the momentum, or what they can do to kind of get through that stump.
I could just kind of say what I do is just try not to get discouraged and try not to give up, man. 'Cause not everyone's gonna love you.
Yeah,
People are gonna hate your band. People are gonna think you suck.
yeah,
You're gonna play shows to 5 people,
yeah,
and you're gonna be $1,000 in debt going to Seattle like I was. But I could have given up and flown home from Seattle and
yeah.
said, fuck all this. But I said, I just kept going. And sure enough, next night, like I said, next few nights, you're back.
Back,
You're
yeah,
back. You got your money. You're eating well. You're eating. You got cheese on your cheeseburger. You got everything.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, oh yeah,
But you just got to keep going, and that's the hardest thing to do. And it's like keeping a band together, like you were talking about earlier, is not easy because
yeah,
people have kids and people get married and people move on and grow up and give up and
yeah,
so it's not easy to do, but my advice, if it's what you love, just keep doing it. And if you love being a dentist, become a dentist.
yeah, yeah. And finally, and the most important question that I know, if my friend and my co-host Dave Martalica was here, he posed a question, so I'm going to pose it for him right now. Um, who do you prefer, Metallica or Pantera?
Well, if you asked me that today I have to go with Pantera just because of how well they've treated me and taken care of me and
Yeah,
helped me out. You asked me that question in 1991, I would have said Metallica is the greatest, but Pantera is the next generation.
yeah,
They're the band that's going to take over,
yeah,
you know. And when I got Vulgar Display of Power on CD, it was like, okay, this is the only thing that can compare to like a Master of Puppets, like as far as like a perfect record. It's got a little bit of everything, you know.
yeah,
It's got the ballad and it's got the heavy stuff and it's like almost progressive type metal and for Master, you know. But for me, it was Metallica first, and then Pantera was the next Metallica,
yeah,
and then no one ever came after that. There was never anyone that topped Pantera or Metallica.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know,
Yeah,
there's influential bands since then. You know, you got your Meshuggahs and Dillinger Escape
sure.
Plans and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. But they never lived up to the power of Pantera
No, yeah, yeah.
or the legacy or it's so Pantera's my answer and I'm sticking with it.
All right, David, you heard it here first, and I don't want to hear no lip from you when I talk to you again. It's like a, but it's funny you said that because Dave did bring up an interesting point. We had a talk about this, and he's like, I was getting a kind of a vibe because we asked before. He's like, I know the seems like the older generation would say Metallica, and he did say the more of like how like you're like I said, you and I are about the same age. It's like it would be Pantera, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that for sure. Because once Metallica left that crack in the door, and then that's when Vulgar came out. Jack, they not only went through the crack, they busted the damn door wide open. Because it was. I've been telling this to everybody. Vulgar was like so. I kind of feel like so far ahead of its time because I don't think there was nothing out back when Vulgar came out that sounded anything like it. I don't think there really was. Walk didn't sound like nothing you heard that was being played by any other metal band out there. Hostile, New Level, or the rest of those tracks, Demons Be Driven, like none of that sounded like what you're hearing. It was always who wanted to be the fastest, like between Megadeth and Metallica. And I remember that was a thing. And Dave was like, "Yeah, I remember hearing that. I remember hearing that, or even reading it in a magazine as a kid." But Vulgar, I've always said it. Vulgar was just so much more than what was going on then. So I think that's why that for me they've always had an edge on any other band. Not that any other band wasn't great, or like you said, there wasn't some great bands. Because I loved Slayer, love Slayer. But just like to me, it's like man, Pantera was always the gold standard. So
Yeah, and they didn't put out any, mediocre
no, they
records,
never did. No, they never. They
and
kept it going. They always had a great sound. They never softened. They just kept the track, and boom, everything was always fast. It was always great. Had that groove. All the riffs were ripping. And it was. And they never slowed down.
well, yeah, and they didn't change their style. And like for example, when Reinventing the Steel came out, it was Limp Bizkit's time,
Yeah,
and
100%. Yeah,
every band had changed their style.
yeah,
Slayer changed their style for it. They were Diabolus and Musica era
yeah. I remember that.
playing the new metal riffs. Uh, Anthrax had changed. Machine had really changed. All the bands changed.
Yeah,
And I remember buying it the day it came out, as I do on every Pantera record. And I popped in and I said, please, please don't change. And I was like praying, please. And Hellbound came on, and I just said,
yeah,
thank you, Pantera.
yeah. I mean,
Thank you for not changing and being Pantera.
thank
So
you.
that's why they're the correct answer.
Yeah, man. That's exact same. I was afraid, kind of like how you were saying too. Like as soon as I heard Hellbound, I was like, oh my god, oh, they haven't lost it. That was great. So, but they're still Phil still sounds great, man. I love. I mean, that's my guy. I'll always be a Pantera guy. I mean, I love everything that he's done. He's kind of the reason why I've been following housecore a lot lately. Even more so. Like, because if it wasn't for watching videos or interviews with him, I wouldn't have stepped out of my comfort zone. And like really explored more metal and this and that. Like, I've loved the Illegals, Scour especially. Man, I love Scour. King Parrot, love King Parrot. Well,
Yeah,
Christenberg.
it's a cool family, man.
Yeah, I mean, all the
Yeah, all the housecore bands are cool, man. We got our own
yeah,
style. You know, we don't sound the same. Like Spirit in the Room doesn't sound like
yeah,
anyone else, and Nest doesn't sound like anyone else.
yeah,
And so we all got our own thing, and we're all old friends. So it's just like a family.
for
When we get
sure.
together, it's great.
For sure, 100%, 100%. Well, John, I really do appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry Dave or Jose wasn't here, but they're with us in spirit. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and call it here. So, at the end of the day, everybody, tell somebody you love them and always keep it metal.
Right on, man.